we're going to cover everything you need to know for your first game of Counter-Strike 2 in Valorant terms. Are you tired of all the E-daters in Valorant and are looking for a new game? If you haven't heard yet, Counter-Strike 2 is out, and the game no longer looks like it runs on a microwave. No more Radiant Jet Smurfs, Insta-Lockers, or Pocket Sages. Instead, it's blood, skins more expensive than your house, and a 12-year-old who's about to start insulting you in another language. You better change your aspect ratio, update your desktop settings, and decrease your resolution because it's time for Counter-Strike. You've probably heard a million comparisons between the two games already, and that's because the lead developers on Valorant used to work on CS, which explains why the games are so similar. Both games are 5v5 tactical shooters where the objective is to plant or defuse the bomb. You're queuing up for your first game of Counter-Strike 2, and you might notice that you can actually choose your maps, unlike in Valorant. Some of the best maps for beginners are Inferno, Mirage, and Dust 2. Another thing you should know about CS maps is that there are no ropes, TPs, chutes, or revolving doors, but there are ladders. In general, it's easier to tell exactly how far the enemies have moved since they can't just TP into showers and judge you in the face. The first thing you might notice is your movement. In CS, movement is faster, which makes aiming and tracking harder as well. The faster movement in CS also gives you better peeker's advantage, and as a result makes holding angles harder. This gives you a better chance to bait your enemies as it's easier to jiggle peek with faster movement. Another important move you should know for CS is boosting. And no, we do not mean that boosting. What we mean is you can physically boost someone up on a higher platform by crouching and having them stand on your head. Here are some examples of what you can do with boosting. Stand on someone's head, run with someone on your head, and finally, run on someone's head and jump off flying to distances previously unseen. Okay, you've picked your map, learned some mechanics, and are loading into your first round. But now there's a problem. What gun do you buy? Like Valorant, the first round is pistol round. You can either buy a pistol or just buy Kevlar, which is the equivalent to light armor in Valorant. However, unlike in Valorant, the weapons you can choose from aren't predetermined. You can actually customize which weapons appear on your buy screen to suit your own taste. In addition, the loadouts of both T, aka attacking side, and CT, aka defending side, have access to different weapon pools, including the pistol they spawn with. If you're playing CT side, your spawn weapon is a P2000, aka the Classic in Valorant, or the USPS, aka the Ghost. You have to equip this in your loadout, but basically everyone sets their default CT weapon to the USPS, because why would you choose a Classic when you can have a Ghost? If you're on T side, your spawn weapon is a Glock 18, which is a better version of the Classic. You can check out this chart that compares every gun in Valorant to CS2, but for now here are the important ones you need to know. The AK-47 is the Vandal. You can one-tap with it, but you can only buy it on T side. The M4A1 is basically the Phantom, and you can only buy it on CT side. The M4A4 isn't a one-shot headshot, but it does feel and look like the Vandal of the CT side. And lastly, the AWP is the AWP. What a shocker. You can equip this gun on both sides. The AWP in CS2 shoots way faster than the AWP in Valorant. It's basically like Chambers ult. Alright, you have your gun and your armor now, but what about your abilities? You might have noticed this by now, but there are no abilities in CS2. Every player is created equally. Hence, in clutch situations, no one person has an advantage because of the agent they're playing. This makes your mechanics, such as your aim and movement, way more important, since that is the major determining factor between winning and losing. You're probably wondering, how am I supposed to smoke off entry points or enter sight? CS2 has utilities that are similar to the abilities in Valorant. Essentially, the smokes in CS2 are like a small Viper ult. The flashbangs are kind of like a KO flash. The grenades are like Raze's nades. The decoy grenade is like a Yoru clone but in Raze nade form instead. And the Molotovs are basically brimstone mollies. Like abilities in Valorant, what separates a good CS player from a great one is their utility usage. You just lost your first round in CS and now you're broke. You can either gamble a force buy for round 2 or just save. In CS, the economy is a bit more punishing than in Valorant, forcing you to think more about how you spend your money. Also, the economy differs depending on which side you're playing. CT side economy is tighter than T side to balance the game and punish people for aimlessly spamming. Essentially, a Brim Molly would cost 600 on defense versus 400 on attack, and a Vandal would cost 2900 on defense versus 2700 on attack. Also, your earnings may vary depending on the guns you get kills with, so getting a sheriff kill or even a knife kill would earn you much more money than hitting an op shot. Also, the max money is 16,000 in CS versus 9,000 in Val, making it easier to maintain your economy once you get ahead. It's your third round and you can finally afford some real guns. As you start mowing down the enemy team, you might notice some differences between shooting in CS versus in Valorant. First of all, everyone in CS sprays, whereas in Valorant you were probably taught to tap and burst. Well, that's because in Valorant, the sprays have much more RNG, while in CS, guns actually have set spray patterns, making it easier for players to master. Also, in CS2, players can enable follow recoil to make their crosshairs follow the bullets. This way they won't have to guess when to reset, spray down, or even learn spray patterns for each weapon. The crosshair can deliver all that visual information in real time. Since there are no abilities in CS, the way you play with your team is also different from Valorant. In general, you want to position yourself off your personal skill set, not your agent's abilities. For example, rather than having Killjoy play B on Ascent because her kit is good for it, she could hold B main with an op because she's good at opping. Essentially, think of your mechanical strengths and skills as a player being equivalent to an agent's ability kit in Valorant.
What the heck?
Another major difference between CS and Valorant is that you can actually kick your teammates in CS. So instead of mollying your toxic teammate or shock darting them to death every round, you can literally just vote kick them out of the game. Alternatively, you can kick toxic teammates the old-fashioned way, by removing their head at spawn. Friendly fire can be a tragic tactic in CS, but perhaps sometimes a necessary one if you're willing to pay the price. Also, no more having to run to the bathroom in between matches because in CS, you can actually call a timeout. After a few rounds of playing, you might notice that there are no more fish swimming inside your rifle, and every skin looks like the black market bundle. Skins are basically the same thing in CS as they are in Valorant, except they're a huge deal. You can even buy and sell them for real money like NFTs. Most bundles in Valorant cost around $100. Well, in CS, a player turned down an offer of $1.5 million for one of their rare skins. And you thought Riot was making you broke? You've probably heard people talking about opening cases in CS. Oh my god, Dad! Which basically means gambling for a random skin. For only $2.50, you can open a case and gamble your life away. It's basically a slot machine but sideways. Cases can be obtained through the weekly care package, or you can purchase them from the in-game store, or even acquire them through trading with other players. To open a case, you need a corresponding key, which can also be purchased from the store. Once you have a case and its matching key, you can open it, which basically gives you a randomized outcome from its selection. Some other CS terms you should know are stickers, which are basically expensive gun buddies in Valorant. Congrats, you just finished your first CS game. Like in Valorant, the first team to win 13 rounds wins the game, which was a change made in CS2. In the old CS, you used to have to play until 16 rounds. Imagine playing up to 30 rounds in every single game. No thank you. If you decide to queue up for your second game, here's some things to look out for. If anyone on your team says to rush B, they are either trolling or
actually fucking brain dead.
You might be surprised how little down bad people you'll see in CS. No more worrying about his Sage or her Jed or a Radiant I miss her Jet Smurf in your CS lobbies. Do not bring your date to a CS lobby. CS is a very serious game, unlike Valorant. People aren't here to E-date. People are here to spam inspect their skins. You might run into some cheaters, especially if you're starting out in a lower rank. It's a lot easier to cheat in CS than it is to cheat in Valorant, which is why everyone uses Faceit, a third-party matchmaking platform that helps prevent you from queuing into cheaters. And that's it. Everything you need to know for your first game of Counter-Strike 2. And now you're ready to regret not buying a kit. Gamble your life away on a 6-cent skin. And for God's sakes, turn down the MVP audio.